Elias Moreau was a humble clockmaker in the quiet town of Valmont, where time seemed to move slower than anywhere else. His shop, nestled between aging brick buildings, smelled of old wood and machine oil, filled with the rhythmic ticking of clocks that never stopped. But Elias wasn't just a man who fixed timepieces, he was obsessed with time itself. He had spent years perfecting one secret invention, a timepiece unlike any other, a pocket watch that could turn back time, if only by minutes. He never tested it, he was too afraid until he met her. One evening, as the rain painted ghostly reflections on the cobblestone streets, she walked into his shop. Her name was Leah, and she was unlike anyone Elias had ever seen. Draped in a pale blue dress, her dark curls damp from the rain, eyes filled with unspoken sorrow. Leah, my grandmother's watch. It stopped ticking. She placed it gently on the counter. It was old, delicate, like something passed through generations. Elias took it, but his hands trembled, not from the watch, but from the way she looked at him. From that moment on, he was lost. Days turned into weeks. He repaired her watch, but she kept finding excuses to return. She laughed at his awkward jokes, stayed to watch him work, and once, just once, she reached across the counter and brushed a strand of hair from his forehead. Elias Moreau, the man who had spent his life inside a shop of ticking ghosts, had finally found a reason to love the present. But happiness is a fragile thing. Like the tiny gears of a watch, misalign one piece and everything falls apart. One evening, Elias waited for Leah. She had promised to meet him under the clock tower at midnight. He had planned to tell her everything about his invention, about his love, but she never came. Instead, a stranger rushed into his shop, breathless. A stranger, the girl, the one in the blue dress. She was struck by a carriage near the tower. She's gone. The world blurred. Elias, no. He grabbed his unfinished invention, the pocket watch, the one he had never dared to test. With trembling fingers, he turned the dial. 1 hour back. Elias ran through the streets, past gaslit lamps and rain-slicked stones, until he saw her, Leah, still alive. She was standing under the tower, waiting. He called her name. She turned, smiling, until her smile faded. Elias felt it too. Something was wrong. The world around him seemed distorted, like an old film reel skipping frames. Because he had stolen a moment from time, something was missing. A price had to be paid. Elias, I don't know you. He stared at her, horror dawning. She didn't remember him. The past they shared, the laughter, the touches, the whispered conversations in the quiet of his shop, all erased. In saving her life, he had undone their love. His invention had worked. But at what cost? Leah stepped back the way you would from a stranger. Then, as if fate refused to be cheated, a carriage rumbled down the street, the same carriage. He lunged forward, but time had already made its choice. The sound of wheels skidding, the gasp of onlookers. This time, when Leah fell, he wasn't the man she called out for. She was still alive, but he had lost her forever. The pocket watch, still in his hand, ticked down to its final second and shattered. No one in Valmont ever saw Elias Moreau again. His shop remained untouched, clocks still ticking, waiting for the man who could no longer fix time. And Leah? She lived a full life, married another, had children, but sometimes on stormy nights, she would find herself staring at an old broken pocket watch she didn't remember owning. And for reasons she could never explain, she always felt like she was missing someone. Title: The End.